Hello everybody. I hope your week or past few months have been going well. First of all, as you can see, I had no idea what I was going to draw at first. So, I've noticed something when it comes to creativity. I'm an artist, yes, hello. I'm also an aspiring author, and I'm majoring in design and minoring in creative writing, aka I do a lot of creative work. Doing a lot of creative work means I'm prone to those little creative slumps we all know and love, and I often go through phases where I don't feel like I want to make anything or I don't feel capable of making anything, and that can be super discouraging and feel like a huge waste of my time because I don't want to put anything out into the world and I don't feel like I can, so I'm not being productive. Quotation marks. Well, I was analyzing my hobbies and trying to figure out why I feel like I can never finish anything, and I realized they actually fall into different categories. So there are the output activities like art, writing, and scrapbooking, where I'm making something, creating something, putting something out into the world. The in-between activities like piano, figure skating, longboarding, and studying languages. These are in between because right now, like with figure skating, for example, I've been taking lessons recently and I've realized that it's very internal at the moment. Like I'm learning, I'm taking in the instructions, I'm practicing, I'm teaching myself this skill. But if I ever wanted to show anyone else, it would suddenly become output because it wouldn't just be for me anymore, if that makes sense. And there are the intake activities, like reading, watching YouTube, and sometimes hanging out with friends. So yeah, what do I mean by intake and output? Well, when we make art of any kind, we're taking something from inside ourselves, an idea maybe, and putting it out into the world. That's creating, aka output. When we say read, we're taking something from outside ourselves and bringing it inside. Does that make sense? And I don't know about anyone else, but I know that I never feel like I have enough time for all the things I want to do and goals I want to achieve, and I was feeling kind of sad about that recently, but then I realized if one of my goals is to read more again, I was one of those read a lot of books as a kid and is now like, reading? And it makes me sad. Reading is a goal. It's productive. And often, because of that intake aspect, it can help regenerate motivation and create more ideas. So, my point here. We already know the importance of taking time for yourself and resting. I'm not exactly talking about rest here. There are definitely ways that all hobbies can be restful in their own aspects, but what I'm trying to get at is the idea of more restful hobbies, aka being productive but still allowing yourself the freedom to not have to create. For instance, a way to use the intake of reading for productivity is to read books on the subjects you want to learn more about when you don't have the energy to produce work in those subjects. I know this is so obvious, but my brain didn't think of it at all until this week, so if there's anyone out there like me, this video is for you. If you're an artist and you want to learn more about flowers, such as myself, an intake activity could be reading books about flowers when I don't have the energy to draw. Learning is always productive, even if it doesn't feel like it right away. And anyway, I get sucked into these states where I'm like, no, I'm not getting enough done. But honestly, I just need to reassess what I define as productivity. Okay, I pulled a little silly goose moment and I recorded more voiceover, but I accidentally coordinated it with a later part of the video, so I have a big gap that I need to fill. Actually, this happened multiple times, so if anything from this little chat has helped you, totally let me know, and if you have any other advice about how I can motivate myself, let me know, because I would love to hear it. Alright, now I wanted to take some time to actually talk about this piece, because it's kind of a special one to me. It's actually the first time that I tried to draw a background digitally. Can I not say that word? Digitally. Since this drawing, which I did in Krita back in 2016, 2017 with a mouse, and it was horrible the whole time. So this was special. I watched so many videos about how to draw rocks and how to draw water, and I don't know. It took a while because of that, but I ended up having a lot of fun with it. For instance, here I started on the water and I started on some bushes in the background, and I wanted to make it look like a pool that was glowing, like this mysterious spot in the forest, because at the time I had this spot in my novel that was like a pool in the forest that glowed, and a big plot point was going to happen there involving Elisia, the main character of my novel. In the background, my cat is taking a bath. giving herself a bath, in case you can hear that. I would say the rocks gave me the most trouble just because I wasn't really sure how to shade them at first. I was watching a lot of concept art videos, and the way that you do things in different styles for concept art confused my little brain. But I actually think that I could draw a rock pretty well if I tried to do it again, just because of this experience, which at this point, this was in 2020, this piece, so it's been a few years, but I still feel like I could draw an okay looking rock. And yeah, the trees, I'm not sure how I feel about the trees looking back at it a few years later, because I wanted her hair to be caught in them, right? Like, you see the problem, right? Like, they're way too low. So I don't really know what to do about that, but maybe I'll redraw this piece sometime. Also, if you look closely, at her hands, there's a little purple glow that was initially meant to represent her magic. I don't know why she would just be using her magic, like, as she sits there doing nothing, but that's what I intended. It's also interesting to look back because this is her old outfit, her original design, and I still like it, but it's definitely not as like colorful and detailed and fun as the design that she has at the moment. Interesting. I also kind of thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about my novel. So yeah, I'm a creative writing minor right now in university, and the novel that I'm working on and have been working on for way too long, 7 years, way too long, I was gonna tell you the title, but the title is such a blank of blank and blank. Like, it's a working title because we had to write fake proposals for agents and I needed a title, so I had to just come up with a working title. Anyway, I'm calling it codename Starlight right now, so I'll refer to it as Starlight, or like my novel. So this character is Elisia. She's the main character of Starlight. She is a princess, and when the world kind of falls down around her and everything she's ever known is super messed up, she has to figure out how she's gonna navigate that. She ends up separated from her home in the palace. She ends up without her magic. Everyone in this world is magical, and she is magicless at the moment. So her magic is a big plot point for her and a big part of like how she feels about who she is. Her intentions are not malicious, but she just has like an eye for ways to be sneaky or deceptive, and so a lot of the time she ends up going by an alias of Celine. Yeah, she's got to kind of weasel her way around because she doesn't really want people to know who she really is, and there are people who are searching for her that she doesn't want to be found by, and it's this whole thing. And this scene by the pool, this was not actually gonna be a scene. Like, there was no point where she was just gonna sit there not moving by the pool. In my original draft, which was again in like 2016, I had this idea that she would end up by this pool, and then one of the antagonists of the story was going to kind of approach her by the pool and deceive her into believing certain things, and it was going to cause a lot of problems. So this like magical pool that holds certain answers was part of that, and it was a whole thing. But instead, we have scrapped the pool, at least for now. We've scrapped this outfit, we've scrapped that hairstyle. It's mostly the same, but it's looking a little more like this now. Part of the reason I've been making these like not necessarily tip videos, but videos where I'm like talking about maybe something that could be considered advice, is because then I can watch them back and like remember things that I discovered or like epiphanies that I had at a certain point and like remind myself of those things. I want to try to draw my OCs more. Whenever I draw them, I kind of like get into the mood to write, and it also helps me visualize them better as I'm writing. I always find it easier to write about characters that I can see in my mind. And I can see them a lot better in my mind if I have like a visual of them. But I also tend to struggle a lot because I always want to draw specific scenes from my work in progress, but I like push off writing and then I don't have the scenes, or if I want to draw like a whole scene, it takes way longer than just drawing like a single piece of art. So overall, I want to try to do that more in the next few months because I think it will just motivate me in every direction, you know, in art and in writing, and that way I will actually complete all of my work in progress is. I'm going to a writing conference next year to present it, and that's kind of like my deadline. It's like, okay, we have to have Starlight like looking good by the time that this conference comes. Ooh, wish me luck. If you want to join me on that journey, subscribe, hit the like button, tell me you liked it, tell me you had a nice time. This was, again, one of my first digital art pieces in Procreate that I was like really happy with. So it's really cool to be able to look at it and see what I was so, I don't know, I worked hard on this at the time, and I still like it a lot. So thank you. Have a good afternoon.